Welcome to Community Pink Room. I'm Kiara, the founder of Community.tm, and today we are here with Wesley. How you doing,
Hey, how's it?
Wesley? I'm doing
Good,
great.
good. I'm really excited to do this. This is actually the first
hmm
podcast appearance that I've ever been on. I've done
Really?
some with myself, with
hmm
some of my friends and stuff, but I've never
Okay.
really been on anyone else's podcast.
Wow. I'm honored to have you, Wesley. Like you're really the first person who reached out to be on Community. So I've also had my sisters, but like remote podcasting and really someone who I haven't met, like you're the first person. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
I'm
I
thankful.
don't remember exactly how
hmm
how we kind of got connected on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I remember that I deleted all my social media for a while
hmm
because I just felt like it wasn't a net positive.
Yeah.
So then I hopped kind of back on it because I wanted to start making some type of content and putting out
hmm
information that I thought was important. So I
Yeah.
kind of made a deal with myself that, all right, if I'm gonna go back on social media, I only want to follow and have on my feed
hmm
positive people that either inspire me or that I really
Aw.
connect to their message. So
Yeah.
I think I only follow like 35 people on Instagram, which isn't that much.
Oh
But
yeah.
I remember when I found your page,
hmm
and I think you had a lot smaller page then too, and I think you hadn't been doing it that long.
Yeah, like you
And
literally messaged me like I think like early days, like a weekend or something like that, like very early. I think it's
yeah,
I
'cause
don't know.
I think you were maybe in double digits as far as like people
Yeah.
following you and stuff.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I remember looking at a few of your posts, and then after I read those, I listened to some of your podcasts and stuff.
Wow, yeah.
And I really connected to what you were trying to do.
Mhm.
I don't know. I guess I could, to me at least, I felt like I could feel just kind of your energy in your podcast, and it
Awesome.
felt authentic to me, and I
Mhm.
really connected with just like pure message of giving people kind of this community tribal thing
Yes.
centered around meditation.
Yes. Thank you, Wesley. I'm glad that you understand that and receive that because my story is actually similar to what you were saying is like, I deleted my Instagram too for a bit and then I started realizing like I really do want to show like what I'm learning about life and everything with other people and so I got Instagram back and everything like that. So I'm glad that you received that, you know?
Yeah,
And
and I was kind of
mhm.
curious what I mean, I guess there's always a story,
Yeah.
but I was just kind of curious what got you into meditation to begin with.
So basically, I want to say like in high school, so I think it was like 2013, 2014, I started like lightly meditating. I think it was more so in grade 12, like on my own. I didn't even use music, nothing like that. I literally would just sit on my mat and then I would just like meditate. And then eventually, like, my life just started transforming. Like, I didn't even know really like what could happen from meditation. I just started doing it. And so I don't know, that's really like the story. And then now I'm here and I've learned so much and been through so much and yeah. So that's what but I wanted to ask you like what was your first like cuz you're into the spirituality, your name is Starseed, Starseed Fitness,
Yes.
but cuz I know that cuz Starseed is kind of like what I learned on my spiritual journey. Like I learned about Starseed, like twin flame, all that type of stuff. So I wanted to ask you like what were your first memories of like dealing with more spiritual experiences?
A lot was, I grew up in a more like traditional religion, like kind of traditional Christian household,
Mhm.
and I kind of followed those beliefs for quite a while, and then I left to join the army when I was
Whoa.
19.
Wow. Mhm.
And I still was a Christian, still labeled myself as that,
Mhm.
but I kind of found myself drifting away from a lot of the things, just being removed from that environment. And I started
Mhm.
just having a few doubts about just how I was raised, and a lot of things I was told was right and wrong.
Wow.
And then when I got back from the army,
Mhm.
I I started really kind of struggling because as I took in more information, I started getting in really interested in science because it helped me a
Okay.
lot with just exercise and fitness. And
Right.
I figured if science had helped me in that way, then, then it probably can help me in other ways. So I started really getting into it.
Mhm.
And that already started raising some problems because traditional religion and science just don't fit together
No, they
very well.
don't. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't.
and it had been such a helpful thing to me
Mhm.
that I was having a hard time. Like, well, how can I believe it for all these other things and then just exclude it in this way? So,
Right.
but as I was getting into science, I got into a lot of the scientific people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and guys like that.
Oh,
And I found one of his podcasts he did with Joe Rogan, and I
okay,
listened
yeah.
to that because I like Neil deGrasse Tyson so much.
Mhm.
And upon finding Joe Rogan's podcast, I really liked him. I liked his podcast, so I started listening to it, and I listened to tons and tons of episodes, so many different people, and it started to kind of expand my mind to new possibilities that maybe the way
Mhm.
I was thinking was not really with the understanding of all the information that's out there.
Okay.
And it started raising more and more doubts on my beliefs and everything I'd kind of built my life onto.
Mhm.
So finally, I kind of got to this point where I decided if I really believe in all of these traditional religions, the things
Mhm.
I've been taught, then I
Yeah.
should be willing to challenge all of them. So I did a ton of like research and I watched videos and like
Mhm.
debates of like atheists and stuff that
Wow.
debated different
Yeah.
people, and in all of them, it just the the people that were from the traditional religions, from my perspective, were losing all of these debates, and their points didn't make sense, and the things these other guys were
Mhm.
saying that didn't believe in God, like that made more sense to me on
Mhm.
just a normal logical level. So
Yeah.
finally, I was like, I can't fake my belief in like traditional Christianity anymore, and I just don't believe that. So I had this probably a few month phase just kind of being just a staunch atheist. I went for a complete
Really?
180. Yeah, where
Wow.
I all of a sudden was like, you know what? There is no God. Nothing happens after you die.
Mhm.
There isn't any deeper meaning to life, and
Yeah.
this is just what it is.
Which I mean is
And
fine to explore, right? Like I feel like that's how you also learn. Like if you don't explore paths, then you're just constantly like, what if, what if?
yeah, it just was like, if I don't believe it, and I knew kind of in my heart that I didn't believe
Mhm.
how I was raised, I couldn't pretend.
Yeah.
It it was
Mhm.
kind of a hard time because then I felt like I had wasted a lot of years basing my life in beliefs that I now didn't think were true.
Mhm.
So there was a few months of just just kind of roughness in terms of trying to figure out everything and come to terms with
Yeah.
everything. And you know, I as I got in more into Joe Rogan's podcast, I really
Mhm.
admired him and a lot of the things he does. So I started
Yeah.
kind of, I guess you could say, investing in some of his habits to see if, maybe that could
Right.
kind of rub off something good on me. And
Yeah.
one of those, he talks about meditation a lot. He
Really.
meditates every single day for the most part.
Whoa, yeah.
And I was like, okay, like I'm willing to give this thing a try.
Mhm.
My perception of it had always been that it's like monks meditate, and like that's not really a thing normal
Right, yeah.
people do. And I think that's
Mhm.
kind of a normal perception
Like
for,
people throughout
some of the outside.
society. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
it's just like,
types of people can
normal people
meditate.
don't
Yeah.
meditate.
Right,
And like no
right,
one
right.
in traditional religion really meditates. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
At least not really. So it was kind of a newer thing to me. I just said like a
Mhm.
newer concept.
Mhm.
And so I started meditating, and it was a lot like you, where
Mhm.
initially, I would meditate maybe 3 days a week, 10 minutes, and
Yes.
maybe 15 minutes if I was like really getting into it or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And I started, just realizing very subtle changes where it's like, oh, didn't get upset as much. It was just
Right.
kind of,
Yeah.
and it was so slow. I didn't really notice it in the
Mhm.
moments necessarily, or in the day,
Right.
but as more time went on, I started just kind of feeling like I feel like I feel like something's different. Like there's some,
Right.
this actually is doing something for me,
I
and
love that feeling. I
yeah,
I
it's
really,
amazing.
yeah. There's nothing that
Because
anyone could have told me I would like to feel that. It's just something you experience. I don't know. Because no one told me that I would be experiencing changes, right? So it just felt it felt different because no one could confirm that what I was feeling was a good thing, but also like I just knew it was a good feeling to have
yeah, and
changes. Mm.
I think that's another thing that necessarily like people don't really know is like I had no idea. I went into
Mhm.
meditation with no expectation of it
Mhm.
really doing
Yeah.
anything. I was just like,
Yeah.
well, this guy who I admire does it, so I want to see, see what it's about and see
Mm.
if it helps at all. And I didn't even really know what it was supposed to do or what it was supposed to
Mhm.
help, which I feel like is kind of a testament to how real it is that like I
Right.
had no expectations and
Mhm.
it gave me this thing and how is this possible?
Mhm.
And I found a lot of people who about monks talking about their meditation experiences,
Right.
and a lot of the things they talked about and things talked about in the Buddhist, I guess you could call it religion, kind of, and then
Mhm.
the Hindu religion. A lot
Mhm.
of the things they were saying matched what I experienced.
But they were
So I
experiencing that through meditation.
Yeah, so then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I was like, well, if they're doing this sober,
Right.
I feel like this is a confirmation of the
It
experience of
yeah.
like, so like, and a confirmation of meditation. And then all of a sudden I was like,
Yes.
whoa, I need to start meditating more. Like I
Right.
want to start getting to this place
Yeah.
myself.
And I experienced that too. Like it allows you to like tap into like a different frequency.
Is allow you a
Mm.
glimpse into a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah, and a
And it's
higher
almost
state of
like showing
consciousness.
you.
Yes, yes.
But the
Mhm.
problem is then when it wears off, you're
Mhm.
back where you were. In and of themselves,
Mhm.
it doesn't do anything in terms of like it has a lasting effect because I think it's very
Right.
easy to it wears off and
Mhm.
it's about the work that I'm going to put into to
Yes.
actually change myself. And
Yeah.
that's harnessed really meditation has been like this
Mhm.
integrative catalyst to a lot of that
Yeah.
and allowed me access to those things.
Mhm. And that's when like my spiritual journey. So basically for me, it was like so 2014 I started meditating. 2015 once I was out of high school, like that's when my I would say my spiritual journey started. Because that's when I like had to leave my job because I was like I was realizing it just wasn't aligning with how I was feeling, you know what I mean? And then for like 2 years, I was just focused on my spiritual path. I didn't even work for like 2 years. It was just like every single day was like, I was like growing, you know, and who I have become now for like community and everything like that.
Which I'm
And
sure
so,
is actually like that's I imagine that wasn't always the easiest because
right.
there's kind of like the societal thing of like what you're not
Yes.
working like
Yeah.
what do you
Oh
mean you're
my.
not working.
Yeah. And like for me, I was okay. I was a bit thankful because I was young. You know, I'm still like living at home and everything. So it wasn't the worst thing to happen to me. But at the same time, I had no answers. Like if someone wanted to, like, luckily, you know, life set it up in a really beautiful, like, way for me. But like I didn't have the answers for people. If they were to ask me, like, what's going on with your life? Like, what are you doing? I knew that the feeling was so rich that I wasn't like unconfident or I wasn't like embarrassed by my journey.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I lived with my parents for a while too, and
Mhm.
I actually didn't share that feeling. I was always kind of embarrassed of like I feel like I should be out doing something because I still was
Mhm.
kind of under this mindset of like I need to be like everyone else is.
Right.
And I need
Yeah.
to be on my own. I need to be working
Right.
and all these different things. And I definitely had some level of embarrassment to it because I felt like I
Mhm.
wasn't aligning to the expectations of other
Right.
people and myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of it with many things in my life, I felt like once just slowly but surely I started working through some of that.
Mhm.
And
Which is
now
good.
I'm living with my girlfriend, but
Yeah.
now I can look back on that time. And
Mhm.
if I could go back and talk to that version of Wesley, I'll
Mhm.
just be like, just actually take advantage of it and enjoy
Yes,
it, and stop being
exactly.
embarrassed for your journey and
Yes.
doing what you need to. Because
Hmm.
everything in my life has worked out,
Right?
and
Oh, that's
in
so
in the
great to hear.
moment,
Yeah.
in like the moment,
Hmm.
I would always be like, oh, this I can't need to do this. I need, I
Hmm.
always would have these thoughts going through my head,
Hmm.
and difficult times or circumstances,
Hmm.
and then now in hindsight, I always look back at that and like, oh, you really shouldn't have been that stressed out over it. Like
Yeah.
it works out. It just
Hmm.
has, for me at least, in
Yeah.
terms of that.
Right? That's what I feel like it worked out for me too. And after the 2 years of not working, I was like, okay, I really want a job now. And then so I basically like after the 2 years of my like journey, which is still like going, but after those 2 years, I was like, I really want a job. I got into like the full-time job after that. But then I only stayed there for like 6 months and then I went to California to become like a karma yogi.
Oh, you'll have
Yeah.
to explain to me what that is, because I'm
Yeah.
not familiar with all the different types.
Okay. I didn't even know when I got there. I didn't know what I was called for, like I didn't know what was gonna happen. One of my family members showed me this place. They went a few times, so I said, okay. So I left that job and then I went to California for 2 weeks by myself. And I think I was like 20. So my mom was very scared. Like a lot of people were like, what are you like, where are you going? What are you getting yourself into? They thought it was a cult.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, but I still had to go because I trust my journey. I knew that I would be safe. I knew that, I'm taken care of. I knew that I'm protected and all that type of stuff. So I got there. It was like a 2-hour ride from the airport, and I was like, I've never been there. Like I was telling the cab driver, I don't know, just like I guess follow the GPS because I have no idea. It was late at night. Yeah, it was dark. It was late at night. I don't know. I spent like 200 and over in that cab ride, which I didn't expect either. Because I was supposed to get picked up from the airport from
Oh
the
no.
people I was going to, but my plane was late, so I had to take a cab there. But anyways, I got there, and so basically I learned like a week in that a karma yogi, basically I guess it's like building good karma. So I went there and I was like cleaning, like I was in the kitchen with all the other people, like cooking dinner for all like the guests and stuff like that. So it was like building karma, which I didn't know was gonna happen, but I guess it did help. Like life was good once I got back, but yeah.
It's funny too you say that, because there's a podcast I listen to that
Mhm.
two monks do it, or I'm not sure if they're still monks, but at the very least they were monks for an extended period of time, and they still
Mhm.
live that lifestyle and everything. And they were talking about that, that one time this guy came to him, and he's like, I want to get in this lifestyle, be a monk and all that. And they're like, okay, sure.
Mhm.
And so he, kind of just leaves everything and joins this. It's not a monastery; they had a different name
Right.
for it, but that concept. And
Mhm.
that, like, his first week, like, they're just building stuff. Like they're making new buildings for the place that they're at, and he's
Right.
doing a bunch of flooring and everything. And he used to
Wow.
be a general manager,
Mhm.
and he didn't want to do that anymore, so they make him the manager of all the building.
Mhm.
And he was just upset at first. He's like, why am I doing this? Like, I came here to be a monk, and I'm doing all these
Oh,
I'm doing
wow.
these different tasks.
Yeah, yeah.
And they explained to him that, like, you know before enlightenment, I think they said you like plow the fields and haul water. Then after enlightenment, you plow the
Right.
fields and you haul water. Like, it's a state of being, a state of
Mhm.
mind, that
Mhm.
your actions may be the same, and it's not about those things per se. It's about
Mhm.
the consciousness and state of mind you have
Yes.
for those actions.
Right. And that's what I think I definitely learned on that trip. Like I'm type of person where I got homesick after the 2 weeks, but like on a consciousness scale, like I was very happy that I went through that because I know that like a lot of things started to make sense for me. And I met a lot of different people, and like it was like in the bushes, like there was mountain lions nearby, like it
Yeah.
was this small like community, kind of like a village because people were living there. It was like very tiny, and so like I just learned a lot, and I wanted to see, what was cool that I saw there, because before I started like this community, I had an Instagram page. It was called like the School of Meditation. Nothing professional. It was just like me posting pictures of nature. But I always was like, oh, I want to see like, a school, but like that's based in meditation and like spirituality because like, regular public schools don't even touch on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, I want to see this. Like, oh my gosh, that'd be something. So I was like, okay, I can create one, but I would love to see one too. And then when I got there, there was like one day where we got to go to the school, and that's basically what they do. They have the kids meditate, they're really like in nature. All their parents who their kids go to that school were like karma yogis with me. So like everyone was like living that lifestyle, and I thought that was pretty cool to see. It was like seeing a dream that I didn't think I would ever experience, to be honest.
I really admire that you felt like you needed to do it and then you just
Yeah.
did it
Yeah.
with all these different challenges. Because
Mhm.
I've had a lot of things throughout my life that I felt like, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to go this direction. And
Right.
then I'm like, well, that direction is kind of uncertain and uncomfortable. So I just
Mhm.
drag my feet. And eventually I'll do it. Eventually I
Right.
always do it. But I always drag my feet with it. And then once I'm actually in it and I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
should have done this sooner.
Right.
Like even starting my YouTube channel. I wanted to do my YouTube channel for a while,
Mhm.
but I always was kind of dragging my feet. Like, what am I going to talk about? And like, who am I
Oh,
to
okay, yeah.
impart wisdom in quotes to other people? And
You
I
really
just
think it through. I think you think it through and you gain information before you like do something. Is that kind of what you do?
like
Mhm.
naturally I gravitate towards security. So it's like
Right.
if I'm in something that is, that's okay
Yeah.
and known,
Yeah.
then I want to enter into the next phase with it being secure and known, which it
Yes.
rarely, if ever, works out in that way.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've slowly been, I don't know, I guess you could say trying to exercise the muscle of following what I feel I need to
Yeah.
do
Mhm.
quicker. Maybe three weeks ago, I
Mhm.
quit my job and started a different one.
Really? No way.
And
Go
I just had
Wesley.
thank you. But
Yeah.
I just really felt like working the job I was at was not what I was supposed to be doing, that I was supposed to go
Mhm.
to this other job. And
Mhm.
then in my mind immediately, the analytical mind, the survive part of your mind kind of
Right,
kicks in.
right.
And I was like, well, I know how much money I'm making with this one. It's
Mhm.
secure, it's working, and I don't enjoy it,
Mhm.
but it's safe and it's
Yeah.
secure and it's known. And this other one isn't quite that much.
Mhm.
So I kind of dragged my feet on that for a few months
Right.
before finally just kind of a lot of things aligned, and I felt so strongly about it that I was like, I can't ignore this feeling anymore.
Right,
And
right.
then I switched jobs, and right now I
Mhm.
enjoy it much more. I make a little bit more money with it, and it's
Really.
working out really well. So now I look back at those months where I was like, in this, emotional turmoil of like, I don't know what to
Mhm.
do. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you should have just done it. You should have just
Yeah.
followed what you felt then.
Yeah. And it's also about timing too, right? Like now that you have the new job, like, because it's quarantine. I don't even know if it's quarantine for everybody now because things are opening, but like it's quarantine now. So now that you have this new job, is the job that you had before, like, would you still be working? Like, would it be
Yeah,
open?
both were considered essential. So
Okay,
I got
okay.
I got lucky in that regard. One level of stress that goes with everything, and I kind of realized that this time is meant in a way for us as a collective to
Mhm.
sort through a lot of emotions. And
Oh, for
even
sure.
if you are in quarantine or you're not, like if you're working
Mhm.
or you're not, something's going to present itself that you're going to have to go through and work through these emotions one way or another. It's just a different method of making you work through these things.
Yeah, that's true. For me, like, cause I wanted to have this community just not be like an Instagram thing. I really wanted to have like meetups because that's what I wanted. Like, I wanted some place to go to have a community, meet new people, and relax and grow and things like that and heal, right? So I really wanted people to have like a meetup, like that's local, and then people can we can come together, do some crafts, do something like that. But I felt like it like something was like I could feel it. It was like something wasn't gonna happen. This was like in like January. I was like, I don't know, something's like something feels weird. And it wasn't me being shy, thinking like, okay, I'm not gonna actually do meetups, but it was a different feeling. And then like in March, that's when I got informed here that like there was this global pandemic. So I was like, I feel like I kind of sensed the quarantine thing coming along, and like I don't know, it was
Yeah, I
just.
think that, you know, there that's something that meditation I think does allow you to do, and I think that's what a lot
Mhm.
of our development in life is starting to understand how to tune in to
Mhm.
your intuition and then actually
Mhm.
trust it. And
Trust
I,
it,
I feel
yeah.
like I've tuned in a little bit to my intuition, but then the
Mhm.
trusting part is
Yeah.
really where I'm at
Oh my
right
gosh.
now, of trying to trust myself and trust my feelings, and
Yeah.
just go with it even if it doesn't logically make sense, which is
Mhm.
honestly this whole thing.
Mhm.
As my atheist period, if it
Mhm.
wasn't backed by scientific studies and all these different things, I wouldn't accept
Mhm.
it at all. And then I
Oh. Mhm.
slowly morphed into this, different belief of, who we are and why we're here.
Mhm.
And it kind of, transformed how I went about things, where, if it feels right, I don't
Right.
care if it has science or not, which is why, like, star seeds and just,
Mhm.
everything along with that, I feel it's right, and I don't
That's good.
need science per se. I
Yeah.
like to use it as a tool in some scenarios, but
Mhm.
I don't need to have hard evidence, because I feel
Right.
like I have had enough experiences, even through meditation. Like, I've had,
Mhm.
like, I don't usually have any type of crazy experience when I meditate. It's usually just
Yeah.
kind of, boring in quotes and normal. But there's,
Mhm.
I've been meditating for probably just like 3 or 4 years by now.
Mhm.
And there have been a few different moments, and once I started getting into meditation more,
Mhm.
I started meditating like an hour to an hour and 15 minutes a day,
Wow,
and I
that's
started
good.
seeing even bigger changes and quicker
Mhm.
changes, and
Quicker, yeah.
and there were like there's like a handful of moments where, there's been two times that I guess the easiest way to say it is, I just, I've seen some of my chakras, like, in my meditation, and
Yes,
it
yeah.
it, it was just so, I you know it just was something that, again, like, this validation of, like, this experience, I wouldn't have thought this was possible. And
Right.
yeah,
It's deep.
so.
What we're experiencing is deep. It's like, really profound. Mhm.
And I guess they always came to it at a time. I'll sometimes go through these, just brief moments where I'll just look at all of the crazy things I believe.
Mhm.
Like even just the concept of, like, we have chakras and we have energy centers in our body, and I'll
Right.
look at that belief and I'm like, I can't believe I believe this. Like, this is
Yeah, I know.
insane on some level. And I'll kind of
Yeah.
have this moment, but not even necessarily of doubt, just of,
Right.
like, do I really believe this, and, like, why?
Right.
And then I have moments like that, and I think it averages out that I probably have, like, one interesting, in quotes, meditation experience a year, and the other 364
Mhm.
days that I meditate, there's, like, absolutely nothing, and just, I guess, something just
Interesting.
aligns or something in the
Mhm.
moment, and I'll occasionally get this little. I would almost say, like, I feel like with a lot of those experiences, it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily that I earned them in
Yeah.
terms of, like, I achieved this level of consciousness
Right.
and I
Oh,
get to
yeah.
have this experience. I felt more like it was given to me as a
Yeah.
gift, that
Yeah.
I hadn't put in the work for. It's just kind of like, you're on the right path and you
Yeah.
haven't
I
earned
was
this
just
yet, but we're
about
going
to
to give
say
you
that.
a little taste and a little glimpse of
Yeah.
it.
And I was just about to say that because it sounds like, because how society is and the world is, like, obviously this seems like out of the box. It seems like kind of extreme to be thinking these things. But now, like, there's a lot of things out there that tell you about chakras, but it still doesn't tell you, like, how, you can like see your chakras and like, how you can cleanse them on your own and things that I've experienced and that I do because I know that I have to keep my chakras recharged. I got to, get new chakras, all this type of stuff. But what I was going to say is that I got like this tattoo. I think I got it 2000. I think I got it last year, like in January. And it's a heart because during like that during since 2015 when I'd be going through spiritual stuff, I didn't understand what was going on. Didn't understand where I would end up in like 5 years from like experiencing everything I was, but then I would always see hearts everywhere and I would see it like yarn would appear and it would be a heart. I would literally look outside and like see a big heart cloud, like it was perfectly shaped heart, and I would just watch that and I'd see hearts everywhere. So I got it tattooed because it reminded me that I'm on the right path. And like even though you have your own like path. Like you say that you have that one big profound chakra experience when you're meditating and then the rest of the day is just kind of like regular. It's like that's your path. Like my path is different, but your path is still valid. So you have to work with what you have. And it's like you can't always compare your life with other people's because you have your own thing that's going on. You know what I mean? You can only kind of like bounce information, bounce experiences and be like, yeah, I went through that, da da da. But everyone's like experiencing something different, going a different route.
Was that was something I really got into for a while. Was I would have a few of these experiences once in a
Mm-hmm.
while, and I would think like, okay, like like what do I would try to keep learning new things that I felt like could ascend my consciousness more, but I would just constantly be trying to figure out different things. Like, let me try Kundalini yoga, try, I think it's called
Right.
Vinyasa yoga, and then I'm going to try this kind of meditation, I'm going to try that kind of
Mm-hmm.
meditation, I'm going to do this kind of breath work, and I'm going to try this new
Wow.
one and learn. And there's a million different things. I was like trying
Mm-hmm.
to like find just like the thing that would do it.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend who is, I don't know, I not to compare, but much farther
No.
along in his spiritual journey than
Mm-hmm.
me in
Mm-hmm.
terms of just the experiences he has, and
Right.
through this period. And he was just kind of talking to me the one time, and he was like, I'm really feeling for you that you need to like calm down and
Mm-hmm.
just find one thing that resonates and just
Right.
do that instead
Yeah.
of rushing around
Mhm.
trying to find this perfect little thing. Just find what resonates and focus on
Right.
that. And
Mhm.
that kind of made me take a step back and actually start doing that more and realize I don't have to do this kind of yoga and that kind of yoga and breath work. I mean, I
Right.
can, but maybe I should just focus on meditation and do some breath work once in a while, and then do some
Yeah.
yoga if I feel like it. But the foundation of everything has always come back to meditation for me.
Oh,
It's
that's
kind of
good then.
if I'm stressed or anything like that, or if
Mhm.
I don't know what to do and like a decision wise or anything like that, I just kind of fall back to, okay, I'll just keep meditating consistently and the answer will come
Mhm.
to you eventually.
Exactly. Like it's like coming down to earth almost and just being calm because I know like the Kundalini yoga and I know that there's a bunch of other stuff to dabble in and to, practice. I never really dabbled into too much of that stuff. I dabbled into Kundalini for like a second, but then like just for me, I just feel like I experience it. I don't really like you gain information. I can tell that you went there, you researched that, you go deep into it. But for me, I just experience it. So whatever comes along and whatever like it's like whatever my spirit brings to this body is what I experience. Like I don't really go off and try to find other information. I allow that to come into me, and that's kind of how I go about it.
I appreciate that because I definitely have to be careful and I have to
Yes, you
manage,
have to be
like,
careful.
because I just have this I don't even know what it is. It's just like
Mhm.
something that has always been built into me almost, where it's like if I
Mhm.
find something that like truly interests me and I feel drawn to it, then
Right.
I almost obsessively look into it and try to learn
Right.
and understand everything, which is good in some ways, but oftentimes I feel after a while, I start
Yeah.
getting overwhelmed with all the
Yeah.
information, and I feel like I can't implement all of it, and
Yeah.
I just start kind of getting lost in this ocean of information,
Yeah.
and I have to just and once I realize that, then I have to just bring myself back to meditation, stop
Mhm.
looking everywhere like it's going to give me the answer, and try to
Right.
just live and feel throughout
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. And I've met people who like, absorb so much information from that way, this way, that way, and like their thoughts got tangled. It's like, but this person is saying that, but that place is saying that. You know what I mean? And so like thoughts were contradicting, and then it's hard to know what thoughts are true, what thoughts you should think, what you know what I mean? So I know I try to like just as simple as I can and not try to like we were saying earlier like society and how people perceive us. Like I don't want to be that person who is like being my own bully. You know what I mean? I don't want to be my own bully. I'd rather like be my friend during this time and during this experience. And then cuz I might not even come across too many people who are judging my experience. Maybe people might look at you even too, Wesley, and like, wow, like, he has good energy, da 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 da. Or like, wow, for me, like maybe people are just looking at us from a good light versus like, oh, this person should be doing that. This person should be,
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
it kind of, it's kind of difficult in some ways, because
yeah,
I don't necessarily care what people think, but I
mm,
do, like I still want to get along with people, and
right,
and all these things, which is kind
mm-hmm,
of difficult,
mm,
especially with a lot of the people I know, or used to know at least, are
mm-hmm,
still in like traditional Christianity.
right,
So
right.
most of them aren't really aware of who I am now, and
Oh, yeah,
my belief system,
mm-hmm,
and that it's my own fault for not being authentic from the start about my beliefs and who I am. So I kind of you start going down this road of not completely acting authentically,
mm,
and it just leads to more of that. Any decision in fear leads to more fear. It just
right,
there's always a multiplier throughout that.
mm-hmm,
So I've learned
mm-hmm.
now, and
That's a
I
big life
still.
lesson, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's huge, yeah,
Even in like relationships, like that's a huge one. Yeah.
and if I meet someone new, or
Mhm.
whatever it may be, I've learned that lesson, at least for like from the start. I am who I am, and I believe what I
Mhm.
believe, and
Good
I
for you,
really think.
Wesley.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think the universe, I feel like once I started, being more authentic, and acting
Mhm.
as I felt,
Yes.
and just being true to myself, and the universe brought me amazing friends. I didn't have any
Yeah.
friends for a long time after I came back
Mhm.
from the army,
Wow, yeah.
and I spent my entire time in the army just wanting to be liked, and pretending to
Mhm.
be someone I'm not, because I wanted to fit in with all the different people, and be a
Mhm.
part of the group, and the
Yeah.
team, so to speak, so I
Mhm.
wouldn't be authentic to myself, and all that led to was having friends that really weren't great friends, that I didn't actually have
Right.
a deep connection to.
They were only seeing like a part of you, but not like the full of you, which is like super
Yeah.
important.
So then my friends weren't really friends with me. They were friends with the me that I pretended to
Right.
be, so that they
Yeah.
would like me more.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
weren't really friends. We didn't deeply connect. And then once I got out of that, and kind of stopped doing that and started being authentic, like now, I have, a lot of really good friends, and I'm very lucky that they're
Mhm.
friends who actually know everything about me, who know everything I believe,
Yeah.
and that I feel like the universe kind of brought me them
Oh, for
once I was
sure.
ready to receive them by being myself.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because once you're ready, then the universe is like, okay, we're ready too. And then everything starts
Yeah.
going in. No, I dealt with a little bit of that too. Like for me, I would go out with my sister, and I would like have my hair all nicely, but I wouldn't say I felt like a hippie, but I felt more like cool, like chilling, like just a spiritual vibes. But my outer appearance was not like that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna change. So I started to like dreadlock my hair. I started to wear clothes that like I made or anything like that. I started wearing lots of like colorful clothes. Like I don't wear any like jewelry. Now I wear like the copper rings that I make. So it's like for me that was also that. Like I didn't want people to view me as who I'm not, because then that's how they'll treat me too, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? I wanted
Yeah.
people to know who I truly was, even through my appearance. Like I can wear whatever I want to, but I just felt like I was getting treated differently by dressing differently and not dressing like how I feel. So I dealt with that.
Yeah, because then you rob yourself of having the opportunity to truly connect with someone.
Right.
And you don't
It
realize
is.
you're doing that in the moment. It seems
No,
like it's
yeah.
the right decision to make, you know?
Mhm. But it's like a costume almost, if I think about it. Like maybe not as extreme. Like I'm not thinking, "Oh, I'm going to go out and like put on a costume so that people don't see the real me." But I'm still like when I think about it, it's like I feel like I have a costume on. I don't feel like people are seeing the true me.
Well, I definitely feel like, that is just kind of another way that shows how your outer world reflects your inner state of being. So it's like if your
Right.
inner state of being is like I need to pretend like I'm this person or that, then you're going
Yeah.
to start dressing differently to
Right.
match that inner state of being. And I'll
Yeah.
find that if I'm stressed out or for instance, like if my living spaces and car aren't clean, then
Right.
that usually gives me a hint that I am
Exactly.
not my mind and my body and my soul are not in alignment.
Yeah. That's so
So,
true.
and I find when I meditate more,
Mhm.
without even realizing it, all of a
Mhm.
sudden everything I'm doing, like my car is cleaner, my living spaces are cleaner,
Wow, yeah.
just without even realizing it. And then as soon
Mhm.
as I realize like, oh, my car is like just ridiculously dirty. Like I don't usually let that happen. And I realize like, oh, I haven't been meditating as much as I should. I've been skipping days.
Oh, I see, I see. No,
And there's always
meditation is great. Mhm.
Yeah, and so it transfers into it really is a catalyst to um, a catalyst to transform your outer world and have it
Mhm.
actually be in alignment with you. But it always
Mhm.
starts with the inner state of being. And I think as
Mhm.
I've kind of gone along on this, the universe gives you hints. It gives
Yeah.
you little like even what you were saying with the hearts that you see. That's
Yes,
like the
yeah.
universe dropping little breadcrumbs for you to follow.
Exactly.
And it'll do
Yes.
that for both ways, where it's like, hey, this thing isn't in your best interest. It's not in alignment for you. Little
Right.
breadcrumb. And if you're trying to be in alignment and you're taking notice of these things, and you'll
Mhm.
see that. But
Yeah.
most of my
Outside of
life is spent
meditating.
not doing that.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, 'cause outside like that's signs happening outside of meditation. Or you could say like you're always in a meditative state. That's why you see these things and you're aware of them. But at the same time, it's like when you're out of a meditation and you're seeing things going on in your world, it is a sign from like the higher energy, sending you something.
The thing is, I think they're always there. It's just
Yes.
a matter of if you can perceive them based
Mhm.
on yours. Because I've gotten, which is pretty common, like seeing like the reoccurring numbers a lot and
Oh
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I remember several years ago,
Mhm.
I was seeing. Actually, no, it wasn't several years ago. It was a little. It wasn't even that long ago necessarily. It was like a year or two ago,
Mhm.
and I kept seeing this reoccurring number pop up just constantly, and it was 420, and
Mhm.
the only thing I knew that was associated with weed. So
Yeah.
I was just like, why am I seeing this number like just
Right.
outrageously? Like it'd be like 15 to 20 times, and in a couple days it just would be
Wow.
everywhere, and it
Mhm.
went on for months, and I was just
Really.
it was just baffling to me, and I just couldn't
Mhm.
understand what was going on.
Mhm.
And finally I was like, maybe it actually has a meaning. Maybe there's something more to it. And
Yeah.
actually, I don't even remember now
Mhm.
what the meaning was behind it, but there was an actual deeper meaning to it from things
Mhm.
that I'd read and stuff like that that
Wow.
applied to the circumstances I was in.
Mm.
And it just showed that, like, the signs had always been there, but my ability to perceive them
Right.
was different.
Yeah, that's true. But now you understand it. And you know what happens for me is um like when I'm on this computer, my and even on my phone, what see at the time is it 2:55 for you too? 2:50.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so it's 2:55 for me, and then my battery would be like 25 or something, or it'd be 55. So my battery would be 55%, and then the time would be 2:55. I get that all the time, but like with different numbers, but everything it always matches.
Yeah, that was I remember one of the things that, like, finally I was like, I have to check out what this is about. There's this woman who does, like, fitness stuff on Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
and she had made a Instagram story where she was talking about how, likes don't necessarily translate into people visiting your website and stuff, and she was showing a comparison between her
True.
most liked photos
Mm-hmm.
and how many people actually clicked on her website. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. As I keep going, that she shows her analytics for one of her posts, and
Mm-hmm.
it equaled, it was like 4 website clicks, and then, like, it was 2 of something else, and then 0 something else, and it was 420. And it was just such a just
Oh,
random
no way.
thing when I'm just going through an Instagram story of seeing
Yeah.
this. And then, there would be so many things that would happen like that. And then,
Oh, that's pretty
like,
cool.
I would all of a sudden, like, check my phone for no reason. It'd be 444. Like, oh, that's crazy. And then I would see my
Wow.
battery is 44%. And
Yeah.
that would just happen so many times throughout the week, like, just
Mm-hmm.
countless
Oh my
times,
gosh,
that I
so
just
many
couldn't
times.
ignore
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Wow. I said I'm gonna look up. I don't know if it'll be there on Google, but I'm gonna check because I never really Googled like why like my percentage of my battery is the same as the time. But I remember I told my sister and like she wanted to, like I think she wanted to get a lotto ticket because I tell her how many times it happens to me. So yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
look up on
yeah.
Google as to why that is if I can find an answer. Maybe it's just like a good sign, like I'm on the right path, or maybe there's just something else to add on to it too.
The things
Mm.
I usually looked up is
Hmm.
are usually, like, your, if you believe in spirit guides, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that are
yeah.
with you.
Spirit
Yeah,
guides.
usually, which was kind of a new concept to me that my friend had introduced to me, like, honestly, just like a year ago, that I've been
Really?
getting into all of this, and he kind of introduced me to the concept of spirit guides, and I, started learning a little bit more about them.
Hmm.
And as far as, like, the reoccurring numbers, there's this, I guess you could call him a spiritual teacher, would be the best thing. His
Hmm.
name's Matt Kahn,
Really?
and he's one of my favorites I've ever watched. I absolutely love
Oh,
everything
let
he
me.
makes.
He's on YouTube?
Um, yes, he's on YouTube. I
Mm.
think it's Matt Kahn All for Love is his
Oh,
YouTube
okay.
YouTube channel. But
Thanks. Alright.
he has amazing videos, just always very love based, and just
Really?
incredible stuff that really resonates with me. And
Hmm.
I think it was him that was talking about it, where he was saying, like, the reoccurring numbers is usually your spirit guides contacting you and trying
Right.
to
Hmm.
just nudge you in some direction, or encourage you in
That's
something,
true.
whatever it is. And he's like,
Hmm.
usually it will kind of go in phases where maybe you'll see the reoccurring numbers a lot, and then
Hmm.
they'll stop or something like that. And he said
Yeah.
usually that is because they have given you the message that you need, and
Hmm.
it's just kind of up to you to then eventually understand what they're saying. But, like, the
I
message is
see.
complete, and they have given it to you. So then maybe and it doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It just means we gave you the
Right.
message. It's up to you to figure it out, or
That's
whatever. They
so
can't
true.
just give you everything, so to speak.
Right. And I love that. I love the kind of like work for it type of thing. It's not anything too hard like in this world where you have to work to get to a certain level. It's kind of like if you just focus in on your life and on your path, then you can kind of find those answers. But I think you're on point with that because it's not when I see the time and the percentage, it's not really the same energy I get when it's telling me I'm on the right path. It is kind of like a message I'm getting, right? And I have to focus.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
part of
Mhm.
what made me okay with switching jobs, because it was
Right,
so
yeah.
I had been seeing 444 a lot, and I was just like, I
Mhm.
don't I don't, know why I'm seeing it. And I just kept
Mhm.
seeing it and seeing it and seeing it.
That's a good number to
And
see. Mhm.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
But so now I'd actually quit and I went to work for my dad's business now.
Mhm.
And that was kind of something I didn't know I wanted to necessarily do because yeah, I don't know, just working for my dad just seemed like it could be something that could go wrong or something like that, of just kind of
Right.
a different environment.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't sure, and I've been seeing 444 a lot, and then I saw this kind of explanation of some of it where this guy was like, he was like, actually, the numbers you see can be correlating to your astrological houses. So if you see
Okay, yeah.
something like 444, he's like, it's not always this, but it can be, for instance,
Mhm.
that it's like your fourth house. You should look at something in
Oh,
your
yes.
fourth house. And
Mhm.
when I looked to see because I wasn't really well versed in astrology,
Right.
so I went to see what the fourth house was about, and
Mhm.
it was about like parents and foundations.
No way.
And it's funny because my dad, and
Yeah.
he builds foundations for houses.
Really.
So it was this weird thing where it's like I was like, oh
Connection.
yeah, it's the weird synchronicities, and
Yeah.
that played a role into it. And I think that was them kind of nudging me that you're going to be happier, you're going to feel more
Yeah.
fulfilled, this is in alignment for you.
Wow,
And it's
see?
like they're not going to outright tell me that, but this is like the
Right.
nudge, so to speak.
Wow. Your path is powerful there. Cause you
It's just crazy at times, but
yeah. But that's good that you look it up and then you find your answers and then you can feel more almost like secure in what you're doing, right?
yeah, I think I
More
don't know, I
confident.
would guess my spirit guides understand that I'm not always the quickest to do things. So
Mhm.
maybe they like to throw a few nudges in there because they're like,
Mhm.
he's not gonna follow this as quickly as he should. So maybe we'll throw him a few bones, so to speak, so that he can move a little bit faster and be
Yeah.
happier.
They're like taking care of you and like I feel like I've been taken care of too cuz I as I said I didn't know any of this. So I feel like I was taught everything in a slow motion. I was never like, you know, I never felt that like, oh, she won't ever get it cuz she can't, she can't understand. Like I felt like it was like it's like the perfect pace for me to learn something. So I'm thankful for everything that has happened
Yeah,
because I feel like they understand the personality of me and they know how to work best with that.
yeah,
Mhm.
and that helped me make the decision to switch jobs. Was that you
Mhm.
know I look back at my life and I was like, even the worst experiences
Right.
were really good in
Yeah.
hindsight.
Right?
So I
Same.
just know that something Matt Kahn talks about too. He actually wrote a book about it the
Mhm.
book is called "Everything Is Here to Serve You" or something like that.
Wow,
Where it's
yes.
just like if you look at everything as this is for you to be the best version of you and
Yes.
ascend your consciousness in the way
Right.
that you are supposed to, and everything is here for that. So I
Mhm.
knew that regardless of if it went good or if it went bad, that
Right.
I would come out the other side appreciating that I did it, like
Right.
every other good or bad thing that I did in quotes. So
Wow.
it made it a lot easier.
No, that's super. I love it. It's a hard path. It's like I mean, it takes a lot of real work, emotional work. You're breaking down so many walls, you're losing friends, gaining friends. Like it's a very emotional path. And then on top of it, that you can't really blurt this out to everybody all the time because it's like so complex at times. You don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, I genuinely think that this is a beautiful path and there's a lot of beautiful things that happen. And you get to understand life, a bit more.
Yeah, it's not always easy, but I'm also the happiest and feel more fulfilled than I ever have. So it's
Right.
something Jordan Peterson talks about, where he's like, organize your life in a
Mhm.
way that it justifies the suffering that is just a part of life. And as long as you
Right.
have meaning that is greater than your suffering, then you can make it through
Mhm.
anything.
Oh, that's
So
so true.
that's the main thing I feel like I have now.
Wow, Wesley, look how long we've talked. Can you see how long we've talked on here?
Yeah, but hair over an
Wow.
hour.
And this, I know that we could like even branch out into other things like numerology and the spirit guides and even going a bit deeper in chakras. But you know what? I am going to end it here if
Yeah,
that's
I think that's
okay with
perfect
you.
timing.
I love how everyone in the community has been so open to, growing and doing the little meditations that I do on the live, like the 3 minute, 5 minute guided meditations. And I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like everyone is connected in a way. And I see that from seeing who comes into community and who I chat to. So I'm happy. Thank you
Yeah.
for being on this podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. And as soon as I get the kinks
No.
worked out in my podcast, I definitely want to have you on.
Awesome. You just let me know and I'll be there. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Wesley.
Everything is here. Everything is here for us, even
Yeah.
even this.